Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayesu Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, chapter number 27, entitled Indra and Surabhi offer prayers. Text number 27 and 28. Text 27. Krishna abhisikta etani. Krishna abhisikta etani. Sarvani kuru nandana. Sarvani kuru nandana. Nirvairani abhavam stata. Nirvairani abhavam stata. Krurani api nisargataha. Krurani api nisargataha. Krishna abhisikta etani. Sarvani kuru nandana. Nirvairani abhavam stata. Krurani api nisargataha. Krishna abhisikta etani. Sarvani kuru nandana. Nirvairani abhavam stata. Krurani api nisargataha. Please chant. Mataji's. Krishna abhisakte tani sarvani kurunandana nirvairanya bhavanstata purani nisargata. Word to word meaning. Krishna, Lord Krishna. Abhishikite, having been bathed. Etani, these. Sarvani, all. Kuru Nandana, O beloved of the Kuru dynasty. Nirvairani, free from enmity. Abhavan, became. Tata, my dear Parichet. Krurani, viscous. Api, although. Nisargataha, by nature. Translation and purport by the followers of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. O Parichet, beloved of the Kuru dynasty, upon the ceremonial bathing of Lord Krishna, all living creatures, even those cruel by nature, became entirely free of enmity. Purport. Those corrupted by a type of sophisticated cynicism may mock these descriptions of a paradisiacal world situation affected simply by worshipping the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, modern man has created a hell on earth in his cynical rejection of heaven on earth, which is actually possible through Krishna consciousness. The situation described here, created simply by the auspicious bathing ceremony of the Lord, is an authentic historical incident. Since history repeats itself, there is hope that the Krishna consciousness movement may again bring the world community to the brilliant reality of self-realized existence. Please repeat the translation. O Parichet, beloved of the Kuru dynasty, upon the ceremonial bathing of Lord Krishna, all living creatures, even those cruel by nature, became entirely free of enmity. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratushe Namah. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Visvano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kirpa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So first of all, before begin to speak anything on this verse, I seek blessings of many stalwart great devotees sitting in this assembly and sannyasis, His Holiness Amya Vilas Maharaj, His Grace Devki Nandan Prabhu is here, His Holiness Anant Krishna Gosai Maharaj, His Holiness Sri Krishna Chaitanya Swami Maharaj, and all the Vaishnavas who are here. Today I feel it is kind of a test for me to speak in front of all these great souls. They all are my teachers, even many more devotees, and hearing from them all these years, but for so many of them sitting in front, and so I seek all of your blessings to be able to speak something on whatever we have heard in last many days and years on this divine message of Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this pastime, Indra and Surabhi offer prayers. So we are hearing from previous many days about this wonderful Govardhan Leela, where Lord, to protect his Brajvasis, he lifted the Govardhan hill. Indra is supposed to protect the cowherd community. He is the protector. And for many, many years, the Brajvasis, they were always doing their regular offering to Indra. Every year it was going on. Just this time, Krishna said that now this time we'll do to Govardhan because we get everything from Govardhan. And Krishna knew that Indra has developed lot of pride. He is intoxicated by his opulence and position. So Krishna is very merciful on his devotees, and anytime any devotee develops pride or intoxication because of his opulence, power, position, then Krishna very mercifully corrects him and makes him humble again. So we see in this same pastime, for just one time when Brajvasis are not offering their yearly oblations and sacrifices to Indra, he becomes so angry that he just wants to kill them. And he is sending the Samvartaka cloud. So he just forgets that they have worshipped him for so many years. For just 1 year, no worship, and Indra wants to kill them. And then we have heard about this wonderful pastime of Govardhan Leela. Krishna protects. He lifts the Govardhan hill. Indra tries for 7 days and nights. It doesn't work out. Then he just tells the clouds to stop. And then Krishna puts the Govardhan down. And there's a wonderful festival. In the previous chapter, we heard about wonderful Krishna, where in the wonderful Krishna, we hear about all the Brajvasis glorifying Krishna. And Nand Maharaj talks about the prophecy about Krishna, which is given by the Garg Muni. So after all this thing, Indra realizing that he has done such a big blunder, he goes to Brahma to ask now what to do. Such a big blunder I have done. And Lord Brahma tells Indra, with Surabhi, you go to Krishna and ask forgiveness. Go with Surabhi. And then Indra comes with Surabhi. He comes to the Govardhan hill where Krishna was sitting on at the foothill on a nice platform. And there was no one. Krishna didn't want to humiliate Indra anymore, so he arranged a private meeting. There was no one else, just Indra and Krishna. And then Indra asks, he just completely pays his full obeisances, full dandavats, and he is asking forgiveness from Krishna. And he offers many prayers which we hear in this chapter. We see Lord Krishna is so merciful. Although Indra tried to kill the Brajvasis and kill all the cows and the whole community, the cowherd community, but Krishna is so merciful that he just excused Indra. Indra came, he surrendered, he paid his obeisances, asked for forgiveness, and Krishna excused him. And Krishna arranged all this meeting so privately that Indra doesn't feel any more humiliated. Indra was having this fear that now Krishna may call Yamraj and may punish. We hear this in the previous verses. So Indra was having this fear. But Krishna just excused him, told him that I did all this just to bring down your pride, your intoxication, and go back now and rule the heavenly planets and be humble. So we see how merciful is Krishna. For such a big blunder, such a big crime, Krishna so mercifully excused. Not only excused, he again reinstated, continue as your position of Indra, continue your service, don't do this again. And after Indra prayers are over, then Surabhi, again Surabhi on the direction, on the instructions of Brahmaji, she starts offering prayers, and Surabhi wants to coronate Krishna as their real master, as the real Indra. So this was also in the direction of Brahma. So then Surabhi offers prayers and expresses her desire. My dear Lord, we want to do your abhishek with my own milk. And then Krishna allows, he approves, okay, you do that. And at that moment, there's a wonderful festival where Surabhi is doing abhishek of Krishna with her own milk. And Airavat, he gets the celestial Ganga from the heavenly planets to do abhishek of Krishna. So many fragrant flowers are there. All the other demigods, they are singing, they are chanting, and it's a big festival, abhishek festival of Krishna. And at that time, Indra coronates Krishna with a crown and gives him the name there, Govinda. We heard this beautiful narration previous days. Krishna, how he gets the beautiful name Govinda, and he gets this coronation. And today we are hearing what was the effect of this ceremony. The ceremony which was done by all the demigods, what was the effect of this abhishek of Krishna? And the effect was that all those cruel by nature became entirely free of enmity. So everyone on the planet, everyone became completely free. There was no cruelty among any creatures when this glorification of Krishna was going on. There was nothing like that. And in the purport also it is further explained that what is the hope from the Krishna consciousness movement. So this, the next verse, which there is no purport, so I'll just read the translation for that also. After he had ceremonially bathed Lord Govinda, who is the master of the cows and the cowherd community, King Indra took the Lord's permission and, surrounded by the demigods and other higher beings, returned to his heavenly abode. So this festival gets over and all the demigods, they go back to the heavenly abode. We hear about this further extension of this pastime in Chaitanya Leela. We hear that even after doing all this, Indra was very, very frightened and still he was very fearful. And he went to Mother Surabhi and he said that I am such a foolish person. I was so much intoxicated by all this power, position. I could not recognize Krishna performing his Leela and I did such a big offense against my own master. And I'm very fearful of my offensive nature. He told further that Mother Surabhi, I have heard that Krishna will again appear to do his pastimes in Nadia. And I am fearful that because of my offensive nature, I should not again commit offenses to the Lord when he is doing his pastimes in Nadia. So please help me. How can I protect myself from this offensive nature? So then Mother Surabhi, she tells to Indra that yes, Krishna is going to appear as Lord Chaitanya in Nadia, in Kali Yuga, and is going to do wonderful pastimes. This narration is given in Navdeep Mandal, Navdeep Mahatmya, Navdeep Dham Mahatmya by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, where it is described that Lord Nityananda takes Jeev Goswami and Srivas Thakur on Navdeep Dham Parikrama, and they come to this village called Gadi Gacha. And in this village, then Lord Nityananda gives this description of the discussion of Indra and Surabhi. So then further it is described that Mother Surabhi then tells, let's go to this place in Nadia. And there if anybody chants the name of Lord Gauranga, then they are freed from all this offensive nature and they get amazing benefit. They get lot of benefits. So as per the advice of Mother Surabhi, Surabhi and Indra, they both come to this place, Gadi Gacha, which we now know as Godruma Deep. Go means cow and Druma means tree. So Surabhi, Mother Surabhi comes to this Dvipa, and there's a banyan tree where she eternally resides. So there in this Dvipa, Godrum Deep, Mother Surabhi and Indra, they start chanting the name of Lord Gauranga. And they start chanting Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. We are not so excited to chant. But anyways, when she starts chanting, they both start chanting, then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears there to give them darshan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in beautiful golden complexion and with a sweet smile he appears, and then he tells to Indra that I know your desire very well and I bless you that when I perform my Chaitanya Leela, then you will not do any offensive Leela. He will not do any kind of offensive activity and he will always remain humble in during my Leela. So this blessing was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Indra to further pacify him that he need not to worry. Shri Shri Radha Ras Bihari Ji ki Jai. Shri Gaur Nitai ki. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So this blessing was further given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Indra that during his Leela there won't be any offensive nature. And not only that, he will also get much more mercy. So Chaitanya Bhagavat describes a very special pastime where Indra is in ecstasy of love of Krishna. So in this particular pastime, which is described in Chaitanya Bhagavat about Yamraj Sankirtan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivers Jagai and Madhai. So every day, Brahma, Shiva, Yamraj, all of them, they would come to see the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whole day they would see the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in the night, when Mahaprabhu would go to take rest, then they will also return back to their planets. And again, next they would come to see the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one day all the demigods came to see the pastimes. Brahma was there, Shiva was there, Yamraj, and all the demigods were there. And they saw the pastime where Lord Krishna, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered Jagai and Madhai. So everyone was so astonished and amazed and ecstatic that Lord delivered to such sinful people. At that time, after this pastime got over, Yamraj was going back in his chariot. And he asked Chitragupta, can you describe how much sins these two guys have done? And Chitragupta says, my Lord, even if there are 100,000 of scribers, 100,000 scribers give the narration of the sins committed by Jagai and Madhai, and if you have 100,000 ears and you hear it for 1 month, still it will not get over how many sins these two people have done. All our writers, they were frustrated seeing the sinful activity done by Jagai and Madhai. And they were crying, thinking that when these two guys will come to Yamlok, the kind of punishment which they will get, the kind of suffering they will get, they were crying thinking that. And all these things, there's a mountain of sinful activity. And all these things, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just by his merciful embrace freed them from all these sinful reactions. When Yamraj heard this, he fell unconscious on his chariot. He fell unconscious. And then from behind, Brahmaji, Shiva, they all were going. And they saw Yamraj is unconscious. Then they asked Chitragupta, what happened? Why Yamraj is unconscious? And they explained that I just explained them the amount of sin done by Jagai and Madhai. And hearing that how Mahaprabhu delivered them, hearing the merciful, munificent nature of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just Yamraj became unconscious. So in Chaitanya Leela we know if anybody becomes unconscious, then how to bring them to consciousness? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Brahma and Shiva, they started chanting in the ears of Yamraj. Hari, Krishna, all the names. And hearing this, Yamraj came back into consciousness. But when he came back into consciousness, he was into full ecstasy. And he started dancing like anything and dancing and chanting in full ecstasy. And seeing the ecstasy of Yamraj, who is dancing and chanting like anything, Brahmaji also started dancing and chanting in a very amazing way. Seeing Brahmaji dancing and chanting, all his associates, Kashyap Muni, Kardama Muni, Bhrigu, Manu, Narad Muni, everyone started dancing with Brahmaji in full ecstasy. Seeing them dancing, Lord Shiva, he went into so much ecstasy that he forgot his clothes only. And he started dancing, and his sons, Kartikeya and Ganesh, they also started dancing with him in full ecstasy. Seeing everyone dancing in full ecstasy without any shyness, Indra also saw they were dancing. Indra also started dancing in full ecstasy. And Chaitanya Bhagavat describes, at that point Indra says, Safala Haila Brahmana Shap. Indra says that the curse which was given to me by a Brahmana, today it became fruitful. Why did he say so? Indra got a curse. Because of that curse, he had got 1,000 eyes on his body. And because of thousands of eyes on his body, Indra felt in Chaitanya Leela so happy because he could see the pastimes of God Sundar with 1,000 eyes. And not only that, he can see the pastimes with 1,000 eyes, but tears of ecstasy were coming out from his 1,000 eyes. And when tears of ecstasy was coming out from his 1,000 eyes, he was in so much of love, so much of ecstasy. He was rolling, chanting the names of Krishna. And he was feeling so happy that this curse which I got of having 1,000 eyes, today it has become fruitful. I can see the pastimes and shedding the tears of love. And he's rolling, his helmet is somewhere here and there, his vajra is somewhere here and there, his necklace is here and there, and Indra is in full ecstasy in chanting the names of Krishna and in dancing in Yamraj Sankirtan. So this description is there in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So this is some further extension to this pastime of Indra and Indra asking forgiveness. And here we see such a wonderful missionary purport for all of us. Where the translation itself mentions that when Krishna was glorified and the Abhishek of Krishna is going on, all the cruel by nature, they become completely free of enmity. There was no more enmity, they all became free, even those who are cruel by nature. So that is the power of the glorification of Krishna. That is the power of the chanting Krishna's name, worshipping Krishna, glorifying Krishna. More and more Krishna is glorified, the more and more the animical nature, the enmity, the enviousness, this all will go away. And there will be more and more love. We see this also in Chaitanya Leela. This pastime is also there, where we see all the animals, they give up their cruel nature. Which is that pastime? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he decided to go to Vrindavan, he didn't choose to go through the regular route, because he thought, if I go to regular route, there is so much of public and so much of disturbance. So he chose to go through the forest. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going through the forest, and he crossed the forest of Jharikhand. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was assisted by a servant. His name was Balbhadra Bhattacharya, and one more Brahmana to take care. So when Mahaprabhu entered the Jharikhand forest, there were so many cruel animals, tigers, lions, boars. They all stood on one side, giving the passage for Mahaprabhu to go. Another day when Mahaprabhu was going, he saw one tiger lying on the grass. Mahaprabhu touched the tiger with his feet and told, "Tiger, chant Krishna, Krishna." The tiger immediately got up, started chanting Krishna's names, started dancing in ecstasy, and tears coming out from his eyes. And he was in full ecstasy, jumping, dancing, chanting Krishna's name. And Mahaprabhu was just smiling, blissful. Another time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while crossing the Jharikhand forest, was in the lake, taking bath and murmuring Gayatri. And at that time, a herd of maddened elephants came to take bath in the lake. Mahaprabhu took some water from the lake and just splashed on those elephants and said, "Chant Krishna, Krishna." And all the elephants who got the water splashed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went into ecstasy, and they started rolling on the ground. They went into ecstasy. They started chanting Krishna's name. They started screaming loudly. And Mahaprabhu was just smiling, seeing the fun, that how these elephants are also maddened by the love of Godhead. Another day, Mahaprabhu was going further in the Jharikhand forest, and he was chanting the holy names, and because of his not musical, but such an amazing, ecstatic and devotional, transcendental chanting, the deers started following Mahaprabhu. When the deers were following Mahaprabhu, some tigers also, a herd of around 5-7 tigers, they also started following Mahaprabhu. And when Mahaprabhu saw the tigers and deers following him, Mahaprabhu just turned to them and said, "Chant Krishna's name." And all the tigers and deers, they went into ecstasy. Now we know, earlier we might have seen this NGO and Discovery, National Geographic Channel, and we see there how the tigers are running and pouncing upon deers and they are killing them. But here something different happened. The tigers, they gave up their cruel nature, and they started chanting the holy name. They started dancing. The deers also started chanting the holy name, and they also started dancing. And so much so, the deers and the tigers, they started embracing each other. And not only embracing each other, they started kissing each other. And kissing and embracing together, they were chanting the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And they were in full ecstasy, rolling on the ground, embracing, kissing, tigers and deers together. And when Mahaprabhu was seeing this, he was just again smiling and amazed. And then he further goes on his tour in Jharikhand forest. And then there's a community of Bhil comes. He delivers them, makes them chant the holy name. Those who are even below the Shudras, fully uncivilized. And then he further goes ahead. And in that way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives everyone the holy name. And whoever he meets, whomever he finds, patra vichara nahi sthan, je jai paye taha kare prem dan. Who is qualified, who is not qualified, what is a good place, what is not a good place, irrespective of any consideration, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave love of Godhead. Because of that, we see in these pastimes, they gave up all their cruel nature. All these animals, they gave up cruel nature, maddened by the love of Godhead. And here also, connecting with the same pastimes, the today's Leela, where the ceremony of Abhishek of Krishna, all the living entity, they give up their cruel nature. So further it is in the purport described that how in this world the people are so sophisticated and they feel they are very much skeptical about that how the worship of Supreme Lord can do anything good. It cannot do anything good. And they reject that no need to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They reject this idea completely. However, there is a hope that Krishna consciousness movement may again bring the world community to brilliant reality of self-realized existence. So that hope is there from the Krishna consciousness movement. So what is this Krishna consciousness movement? And that hope is there from this movement. So we see even in the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, he's going to the West and preaching to the hippies, whose by nature, again, they have same things, breaking all regulative principles, fighting, killing, just trying to enjoy on using drugs, abusing, drugs abuse and everything. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, by giving them the holy name and by propagating the Krishna conscious movement, makes them completely changed and filled with love of Krishna. So this Krishna consciousness movement, which is centered around performing Harinam Sankirtan, which is centered around distribution of books of Srila Prabhupada, distribution of Krishna's mercy in the form of Krishna Prasadam. When these things go out more and more, then certainly the prediction, the hope which is there, that Krishna consciousness movement will change the world, will certainly happen as predicted here. So Krishna consciousness movement is spreading slowly. Prabhupada in 1961 or 62, he must have written the first volume of this Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, because Prabhupada wrote first canto in 3 volumes, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. So volume 1 he must have written somewhere in 1961 in Vrindavan. And there in the first canto, in the chapter number 5, where it is described as Lord Narada's instructions to Vyasadeva on Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this particular verse, I guess it is verse number 14, which talks about how important is Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the verses. Jantaga viplavo yasmin. Tadvag visargo jantaga viplavo. So this talks about the Srimad Bhagavatam, and there in the purport, Prabhupada mentions that it is the responsibility of every Indians to spread this Krishna consciousness movement around the world and save the world. There is so much trouble happening in the world because Indians have not taken their responsibility seriously, and they have forgotten their responsibility. Because they have forgotten their responsibility, all the different countries of the world are fighting. Like this, Prabhupada mentions in the purport that if there is a trouble in the world, if there are fighting happening between the countries, if there are problems in the world, the problem is there because the Indians are not spreading Krishna consciousness movement. This is something Prabhupada wrote 60 years back. Now it is 2022. And we see in 2022 also, every day we hear in the headlines, countries are fighting, nations are fighting, so much of crime every day is increasing. So there is so much of hope from the Krishna conscious movement that the more Krishna conscious movement spreads, the more it will spread love, and there will be less and less crime, or at least this whole inimical and cruel nature will go down. We have this experience in performing book distribution and traveling Sankirtan. So sometimes we cross one state to another state, and when you cross any state, what is there? Between 2 states, RTO office. And as soon as they see the vehicle with a yellow number plate, they will immediately stop, because that is a good place to extort some money. They will ask, where is your permit, where is your this, where is that permission, show everything. First they will make the wait, they will say officer is taking lunch, officer is busy, so wait half an hour. And then, so many times we have this experience. Other devotees also who have traveled like this must have experienced. So what do we do there? We just wait when the officer comes. Before showing them any paper or any document, the first thing we show them Krishna Prasad. Sir, this is Prasada for you. We are devotees of ISKCON. This is Prasadam for you. This is Bhagavad Gita for you. That is enough. On that only they say, okay, yeah, very nice Swamiji, carry on. Someone, something more, than he may say, give little more Prasad, give little more books. And someone who is very, very, rigid, may at most may say, no, show me your documents. So one time that also happened. One guy was so reasonable, so you have to show your documents. And because we are constantly traveling, so we had the permit, but it just expired 2 days before. We couldn't reach back to reissue the permit. So we gave him prasad, we gave him everything. So we know Krishna Prasad always works. Prabhupada books always works. We gave him the permit. He saw the permit. He said, Swamiji, आपका permit ना expire हो गया है, इसको reissue करवा लीजिए. He gave us this advice, please reissue it, and then he said, you carry on. So that was a wonderful experience. Similarly, many of our devotees are doing this book distribution in Hyderabad, mostly on the traffic signals. And there the police is a little more stricter. They don't allow even any beggars or anyone. But when they see the devotees have come to do Sankirtan, book distribution, in the beginning sometimes some of them refused, some of them even got angry, chastised. But then some prasadam, one gaja, one khaja, one small laddu, just changes the heart of everyone. Yeah? So now they only expect, okay, you come, you do book distribution, no problem, distribute Bhagavad Gita, but make sure get our prasadam. You know. So as soon as they will see our bus has come, immediately they will come. Okay, first thing they will ask, give us prasadam. So that is the hope from the Krishna consciousness movement. The more we distribute prasadam, Krishna's prasadam, the more we distribute the holy name and Prabhupada books, the world will certainly become a better place, and the cruel nature, the inimical nature which is spreading so much will subside or calm down. Prabhupada mentions that even 1% of the world's population becomes pure devotees, even just 1%, then the world will become a much better transformed place. What to speak of everyone, just 1%. 1% of the population becomes the devotees. So that is the exclusive, that is the amazing blessing of this Krishna conscious movement. Even the whole reason Srimad Bhagavatam is here, we see that Srila Vyasadeva wrote so many books for the welfare of the people of Kali Yuga. But even doing that, he was not feeling satisfied. Vyasadeva was feeling some kind of dissatisfaction in his heart. And when he was feeling that dissatisfaction, his spiritual master Narad Muni appeared. And he chastised him. And he told him, because you have not sufficiently glorified Krishna, that's why you are not happy. Because there is no sufficient glorification of Krishna. And then on the further guidance of Srila Narad Muni, Srila Vyasadeva writes the whole Srimad Bhagavatam exclusively, glorifying Krishna, glorifying Krishna's pastimes, and in this way, giving this amazing nectar to all of us. So when in devotee association, sometimes it may happen it happens to be while I trying to practice Krishna consciousness, some bitter experience, sometimes feeling enmity or enviousness. This is just the lack of sufficient glorification of Krishna. If there is a glorification of Krishna, chanting of the holy names, the more loudly we chant, the more frequently we chant, and we just try to glorify Krishna more, and everyone tries to do that, then there will be much more happiness and much more experience of bliss, nectar in the society of the devotees. And many times, sometimes devotees feel not getting the taste. So you have to chant more and more. We have to serve more and more. As we see here, although Indra did the mistake, but then he was told, continue your service. Be humble and continue your service. So whatever shortcomings we have, our incapabilities, we all know. Everyone knows their own shortcomings and incapabilities. But by the blessings of our authorities, we have been given some service, We have been given some opportunity to serve in this Krishna conscious movement to the best of our abilities. And certainly that depends on the mercy also. And with that mercy, with that ability, we try. We can do so much. We can propagate Krishna consciousness so much. Chaitanya Bhagavat mentions that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna, manifests himself in 4 ways in Kali Yuga. Of course, we all know holy name is there. The wonderful deity worship is there. But these 4 manifestations of Krishna are very special. Why they are very special? Because from the time they are there, they bless. As far as deities are concerned, until unless we don't do pran pratishtha, we cannot worship them. They become worshipable after we do the pran pratishtha and after the gorgeous worship starts. But these are 4 things which are worshipable from the time they exist, without any kind of rituals. So what are those 4 things? That is Tulsi, Srimad Bhagavatam, Vaishnavas, and Ganga. So Lord Krishna manifests himself in these 4 things in Kali Yuga for giving mercy to one and all. Now Tulsi, as soon as we see any Tulsi plant, we don't really have to see whether the pran pratishtha done or not done. We immediately pay our obeisances, isn't it? We immediately worship them. And similarly Ganga. Wherever Ganga is flowing, whether the water is not very clean or unclean, as Srila Rupa Goswami describes, that these holy rivers, they don't leave their purifying quality just like a pure devotee. Even if he has got some bodily disease, that doesn't mean he's impure. So this river Ganga, anywhere, wherever it's flowing, you will see thousands of people taking dip. Thousands of people taking dip and feeling purified. Srimad Bhagavatam. So as soon as Srimad Bhagavatam is in our hands, and we read, anytime we feel discouraged, anytime we feel low, we feel envious, inimical, whatever, we just read Srimad Bhagavatam loudly, chant the verses, read the purports of Srila Prabhupada, and it is so purifying for us. We immediately experience purification in our heart. We feel calmed down. Because if somebody is able to practice Krishna consciousness for very, very long time, the only reason is that he is regularly reading books, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So hearing and reading Srimad Bhagavatam, which is another manifestation of Krishna, Granth Avatar, we feel completely purified, regularly doing that. And the wonderful association of Vaishnavas. This association of Vaishnavas, if we always remain, even if we don't wish to practice Krishna consciousness, we will be dragged to practice Krishna consciousness, isn't it? We will be dragged because this association is so merciful that it is always help us to grow in Krishna consciousness. This association of devotees, this will guide us to progress in Krishna consciousness. And this association will purify us also. So whatever our anarthas are there, our shortcomings are there, remaining in the association of the devotees and taking guidance, just staying with the devotees will help us to progress in Krishna consciousness. And we see this beautiful movement which is given to us by Srila Prabhupada, this ISKCON movement, where all these 4 things are so easily available for us. Tulsi, Ganga, Vaishnavas, and Srimad Bhagavatam. So easily available for us to purify our consciousness, to give up our inimical nature, any of our shortcomings, our envious nature, and to progress in Krishna consciousness. So someone who doesn't take the benefit, certainly a fool, who doesn't take the benefit of all these 4 things. And holy name, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So this wonderful opportunity we have, as it is mentioned here, the hope is from the Krishna consciousness movement. And who are the members? We all are the members of this Krishna consciousness movement. So every day we have to pray to the predecessor acharyas, pray to the Lord, pray to our spiritual masters, where we can get this mercy to fulfill these words of propagating Krishna consciousness movement by the way of more and more prasadam distribution, more and more book distribution, more and more Harinam Sankirtan, and all this, the more it happens, the more it goes not only in country India, but whole around the planet, then it will be so wonderful. And if we don't do this, then what happens? Then we will also suffer. If we don't share this, then we will also suffer. And if we share this more and more, then we'll able to come out of our limitations. Like one time, few days back, one devotee was mentioning to me that as most of the devotees sitting at brahmachari, he was mentioning that what are the troubles for a brahmachari? He was saying maybe sometime he says he has got a knee pain or he has got a back pain. These small problems, because there's nothing bigger problems. So these small problems. So you're just comparing that many times we meet householders, they don't mention these problems because they have much more bigger problems. So these are very small things to really think about. So we, instead of worrying about our small problems, certainly we have to take care of our health. But as mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam purport here, to improve the situation of the world, if we take this more responsibility of spreading the Krishna consciousness movement, sharing Krishna consciousness movement to more and more people, certainly the so much of cruelty, so much of envious nature, all this will subside, all this will calm down, and it will become a wonderful place. And that is what is the will of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna. Any comments, questions? Mic to
Thank you for part of class. This sloka, purport of this sloka gives the importance of doing abhishek to the Lord. This sloka is appropriate for this time.
Janmashtami.
It applies now. So all devotees will memorize this sloka, especially fundraiser who are going to get the kalash for abhishek. They should tell what happens if you do abhishek, whether Prabhupada abhishek or Janmashtami abhishek. So it's just to the point on Janmashtami. Now Janmashtami there, that was also abhishek done by Indra. And now this Indra of Bombay, they will do abhishek on Janmashtami time. So all devotees memorize and apply it.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Any other comments? Please.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. I have a comment and I have a question.
Yes, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. My comment is that police in the USA have noted that our Rath Yatras and other festivals, our group is very peaceful and the crime rate goes down.
Haribol. Haribol.
Now my question is that what other examples do we see of violent living entities or violent people become purified by the chanting of the holy names? You gave some examples in your class, Jarikanda, Jagai Madai, etc. Could you perhaps share some other examples with us?
Hare Krishna. So Maharaj is asking some more examples of violent people and cruel people are getting purified by this process, by the process where they get connected to Krishna. So in the scriptures we see many examples. We see example We hear about Mrigari, who was a hunter, and how he was every day killing animals. That was the way, livelihood, and he would kill them half and leave them suffering. And how Narad Muni come into his life and instructs him, and then he becomes a pure devotee of the Lord. Then also we hear about, there are so many pastimes. In Chaitanya Leela we hear about how Mahaprabhu goes and he purifies Chand Kaji. And now we go and we offer our obeisances at the Samadhi of Chand Kaji in Navdeep. The example is there, myself in front of you. So my life was also nowhere connected to ISKCON or devotees. It was all how to make more and more of this creation and enjoy more and more in all the possible ways, by hook or crook. But by the mercy of the devotees, somehow or other some improvement is there. There's a long way to go. We see so many examples of while Prabhupada was preaching, that so many devotees around the West, the Africans, when Prabhupada sent his disciple to preach in Africa, and Prabhupada came there, and Prabhupada saw that he has made all black Africans into devotees. So he asked Prabhupada, I forgot the name of Maharaj, Bhakti Tirth Maharaj, and before that also Prajivan Maharaj, who was sent to Pakistan, and then further Brahmanand Maharaj. So when he asked Prabhupada, what name I should give to the temple? Like Prabhupada would give some nice name, Radha Landaneshwar, Radha Parisheshwar. Prabhupada said, give the name Kirat Suddhi. Kirat Suddhi. And like Maharaj said, how can I write like this in the temple, Kirat Suddhi? That would be too much to write like this, Kirat Suddhi. So he didn't write like that, but that was the level. That was the situation. The black Africans, the whole life was like just around that, killing animals, and there was nowhere Krishna in their life. But by the mercy of Prabhupada and his disciples and this Krishna conscious movement, they also became devotees. And Prabhuji gave the example of His Holiness Bhakti Tirth Maharaj, such a stalwart devotee. So I think I see so many examples in the scriptures, in the life of devotees, even now. So especially in India also, people are so much addicted to having, eating meat and killing animals cruelly. But some of them, by good fortune, they come in contact with devotees and they become devotees. Then they give up all these things. They give up. They just don't want to look at it. So that's the power of Krishna consciousness movement. Everyone feels purified. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की। हरे कृष्ण।